vital. Loudoun County Alumni Chapter. Blessings.
When the silence feels loud, trusting God in a season of waiting and abandonment. My God, why have you forsaken me? There's something powerful about the moment Jesus cried. Jesus spoke those words in both Matthew and Mark, not because he was lost, he had lost his faith, but because he was fulfilling scripture. This same scripture points back to Psalms 22, words written by David generations before he had actually reached the cross, which means this: what looked like abandonment was actually alignment with prophecy. And sometimes what feels like abandonment in our lives is actually, you ready? It's alignment with purpose. I want you to lean in a little closer. Some of you today are watching the news, watching your phones, looking at all of these social medias, looking for this answer and waiting for justice to take shape in visible ways. I know I got some witnesses here. Many of us in the African American community are watching conversations about what? Restoration and reparations, and asking, Lord, when will fairness ever come to our community? Whether someone agrees with the policies or not, the deeper truth underneath that question is something almost every one of you understand. What do you do when something feels overdue? Can I get a witness up in here? Don't be silent. Y'all can throw up little emojis and everything on this little app. Overdue recognition. I know I got some witnesses. Overdue opportunity. Overdue healing. You've been faithing. You've been waiting. You've been believing. Overdue answers. And sometimes the question becomes, God, where are you in this? I know I'm not alone. I can be honest. I have asked it multiple times. God, where are you? Go ahead and admit it for yourself. It will free you on this Good Friday that you have asked, God, where are you? When is my turn going to come? When is my change going to take place? That question is not new. Why? Because Jesus asked it from the cross. He was feeling alone. He was looking for answers. He was feeling abandoned. But maybe someone listening today is not thinking about the national restoration, but maybe your question is, it's personal. You showed up in the relationship, but still you felt alone. You worked hard on the job, but still you have felt overlooked. You supported others, but nobody has supported you. You stayed faithful, but doors, Jesus, still didn't answer and they didn't open. And the silence started sounding like abandonment. But the cry of Jesus teaches us something. Feeling abandoned is not the same as being abandoned. God was still working on the cross, and he's still working today. He's still working in your silent season. Romans 8:28 reminds us, and we know that all things work for the good of those who what? Love him and who have been called according to his purpose. Nothing sometimes seems fair, but not some things, not easy things is what this scripture is saying. It's saying all things, even the waiting seasons, even the confusion seasons, even the unfair seasons, the quiet seasons. God has never needed visible progress to produce visible purpose. Sometimes while you're waiting for the answer, God is building endurance. God is building wisdom. God is building your legacy. God is preparing doors we cannot see. There are victories happening right now that headlines cannot measure. Not just in the case that you didn't get, but again, he wants you to remember that it's all things, my dear. This includes those trials, the suffering, the pain, the dark days, and not just the positive circumstances. When he says that it's all working together for your good, he's saying not necessarily your personal comfort. You might be uncomfortable, but worldly happiness, not but for spiritual growth, but also for the sanctification and the ultimate conformity to the image of Jesus. James 1:2-4, when I was studying this, took me back to this scripture. And it says, "Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work, so that you may be matured, complete, and lacking nothing." Jesus said something surprisingly. Why? Because trials produce maturity. Trials produce strength. Trials produce wisdom. And Jesus even said in that scripture, if you lack wisdom, just ask for it. Which means this: it's okay to ask questions while trusting God. Jesus asked a question from the cross. Let me remind you again. Jesus asked a question from the cross. Faith is not pretending everything is fine. Faith is trusting God while the answer is still forming. I'm not here to sit here and say that it's not working, but it is working. So let me just take us right back to the cross on this Good Friday. When Jesus quoted Psalms 22, and it was in Matthew and Mark, he was not announcing that he had been defeated. He was announcing the true fulfillment. Because even in Psalms 22, when it started off with, my God, why have you forsaken me?" It ends with this: future generations restored, nations remembering God, righteousness being declared. The story didn't end with the question. The story ended in victory. So let me close this up. So whether someone today is waiting for justice because they're watching the news, they're waiting for an opportunity, you're waiting for healing, you're waiting to hear something, you're waiting on recognition, you're waiting on restoration, you're waiting on reparations, or simply waiting for God to answer a prayer that you thought he forgot about, here is your promise today. Silence is not abandonment. Delay is not denial. And questions do not cancel God's covenant, because the same Jesus who asked, "Why have you forsaken me?" was the same Jesus who what? Rose with all power in his hand, and its fulfillment was happening on the cross while heaven sounded silent. Then maybe your silent season is not an empty season at all, but maybe it's the victory forming in the horizons. And next, you will receive a song, a dance of praise by Brittany Briscoe from Loudoun County, and the fifth word by Reverend Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, Loudoun County Alumni Chapter.